I'm John Beaudin. I was 17 years old when I bought the Star Watcher album from the Lisa Hartt Band. Old time movie, easy come, easy go, dream me away. I remember all over the world there were certain songs that this band put together that I just loved. And I remember when they disappeared being really frustrated because we didn't have the internet back then, right? And when a band disappeared, you go, well, I want to know why. I want reasoning. Come on. Well, a few months ago, I had a chance to talk to Lisa Hartt, and we talked about opening for April Wine. And I saw her opening for April Wine at Sinclair Rink in Newcastle, New Brunswick, which is now called Miramichi. We talked about touring with Miles Goodwin and a lot more. Here's part one of our interview with Lisa Hartt on Rock History Canada. There we go. Hi.
Hi, John. Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice to meet you. Who did I see you in concert with? Was it in Miramichi, Newcastle, New Brunswick? Was it April Wine?
Yes, it was
Ah, I remember
Lisa
that.
Hart Band. Yes. Well, we had a ball. That was a great tour. I remember because we had the equipment of Pink Floyd.
What?
We had their equipment. They didn't want to bring it back to Europe. They were coming back. They didn't want to store it. So we had April Wine had the equipment and all of their techies. So we had brilliant sound. I know. It was
Oh,
just, we really lucked out.
when I saw you, I'll be honest. When I saw you on stage, it was right in front. I was crushing on you. So there's something for you. I remember going. I just love this woman. I love the way she sings. I love the way she moves. I'll never forget it. But anyway, there you go.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I can remember that tour so well because Miles was so pissed off at me because I wouldn't wear jeans. A stupid little thing like that you remember, right? But whatever his problem was, like he didn't think we should be with them, and I thought we did a great job. I really did. I thought the every because we had this amazing relationship with the sound people and they were the best in the world. You think about it, right? Pink Floyd, for God's sake, please God. No, that was just a little aside. That was just, it made me laugh when I thought about that tour. I thought, oh, Miles, I never really felt I looked good in jeans. Even though I was rock and roll, I was not rock and roll. Like I crossed these generations. It was like I was everywhere. I was a writer. I wanted to be a great writer. I wanted to look great. I loved television. Nobody thought that was cool, but I did. I loved television. And I thought I could do great in television. And actually I was asked to replace Anne Murray one summer with her original show. She was off for a summer and I wasn't able to do it, but that would have been the making of me, I think, right then when I was that young, that much younger. Because I loved it and I love people and I know I come across great like that.
Mhm.
It's just about reaching through the camera. It really is. It's all about the joy, the joy of it all.
Right. By the way, is there
Well,
anybody in April One that you connected with? Jim. Oh, Jim. Was Jim Clench still in the band? Was it Steve Lang? I forget the bass
eh,
player.
Jim
What tour was
was,
it, by the way? I forget what tour it was. The Whole World's Going Crazy? Wasn't it
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, no, Steve Lang was in the band. He was the bass player. Jerry Mercer. Uh,
Jerry is one of my dearest friends.
no way.
I haven't talked to him for a long time because he sort of went AWOL and disappeared, but he's somewhere near Kingston. But Ray Blake, of course, was in Lisa Hart Band. So Rayburn was part of Mash McCann.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing, right, of Jerry and Ray. Yeah, he was one of my dearest friends. I loved him dearly. And I love Brian Greenway. I
He's a
do
nice
love,
guy. He's a
yeah,
decent man.
he really is. He's really sweet. I just saw him a couple of years ago here in Toronto. He played a bowling alley of all things, just a solo act, and he was amazing. And I
Mhm.
just thought to myself, wow, people are yakking, and it's just a different world now.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
What about Gary Moffat?
Gary, I loved him too, very much. Yeah, Gary, and I haven't the Moffats. Everybody's kind of disappeared off my radar. Um,
But that's normal. All the people I talk to, they kind of say the same thing. They're going, I'm busy with my thing. We all get to a certain age where I'm looking at the end of the clock. I'm watching the clock myself because I'm doing the best work I think I've ever done, because I was always lazy in radio. But I'm going, I can contribute. Wait a minute. I'm more comfortable in my body. Wait a minute. I can do this. I like to work.
This is the whole thing. This is exactly where I'm at. I have never felt so happy to be in my own skin, ever. It doesn't matter what's going on. I can put what's going on in the world, what's going on around me. I I have to put that all on hold while I'm thinking about talking with you. Like, be in the moment, be present, right? So, I mean, I have something going on in my life now that is absolutely devastating to me, but I can't and won't allow that to take away from our time. And that's never happened to me before. That's a lot of work. I've worked very, very hard at staying present and not allowing emotions to ride roughshod over me or anything, right? So it's a truly wonderful time to be alive. And I think I read something where when you get in your 70s, which is where I'm at,
You look
73.
great. You look great. I'll say it again.
Well, I have had no work done, so I'm doing all right. Um, it's mostly because I don't eat anything bad, too. Oh, that's the other thing. I just don't eat anything bad. I just took care of that because I don't want that inflammation and all that stuff, right?
You got into, I became a Reiki master as well. After my divorce in 86, how they say a snake, and I was a snake, sheds its skin all the way. We can go back and forth in music, but I just realized a cathartic moment and the opportunity in a breakup. And so I was picking up The Road Less Traveled and the Seth books, and I'm reading everything.
Yeah.
And you know how it is, like attracts like. You start attracting those type of people. What got you there, and was there any semblance of that when you were a little girl?
Oh, definitely. My mother was very much into what they call spirituality. And she had me reading The Third Eye when I was like 10 and 12, like trying to get into the third eye. But she was a really basically um, a discouraged hippie. In other words, she was born in the 20s, but she was really a hippie. I was never a hippie. It's so ironic. And yet I grew up in the 60s, right? I was a young girl in the 60s. But yes, she really turned me on to everything. She was so smart, so styling, loved music. She marched in the marches on Selma, Alabama for civil rights. She was in Harlem for all the riots. She knew all the jazz players. She was an artist, and that's where I mean, I really found that life so intriguing, and it opened me up. Now, we put it all aside for a while and got into our own little trip of being on the road and everything rock and roll. But lately, like also in the 80s, I had an epiphany. My health was terrible. I was not able to stop drinking. So I had to come to terms with that, live or die. I was given 3 months to live, basically. And so I took the road less traveled and got sober. And I'm going into my 40th year. This is my 40th year. So that's why the music is so important to me now, because I'm in service. I think being in service, I was always in service, because when you listen to Star Watcher, every one of those songs is really about being being bigger than who we are, being more than who we are. Really, I was very deep then, and I'm deeper now, but I'm more human now. I'm not so concerned about the cosmos. It's more about today and the people I love, and the people that are suffering. And mental illness is a huge part of like what I do in terms of service and reaching out. I'm what they call an old timer, and an old long timer, whatever you call.
Yeah.
And so I'm called upon to do a lot of speaking and counseling and stuff. And the Reiki and the sound practitioner work, I absolutely fell in love with the two modalities because they really foster wellness. I will never talk about the word healing. I think we all self heal. We do things to help ourselves, but the music part of it, using world instruments, learning how to play drums properly, like real authentic indigenous drums. It's very hard now because of the woke community, if I can be so bold, because now it's called you're taking somebody else's instruments and using them. But for my own private practice and work, I use a buffalo drum, I use an ocean drum, I use I use bells, I use my voice mostly, and I use syllables. I don't speak in words, and it's magic. It's absolutely magic. And when you're combining that with Reiki, you cannot go wrong. You feel better. I have people sometimes get off the mat and say, wow, I feel just refreshed. I just feel refreshed because you just drop down. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. It's not like you go away anywhere. It's not woo woo like that. You just allow yourself to drop a little bit below the chaos of the world that surrounds you. And there's so much refreshment in that. So that's
Lisa
where I'm
Hartt
at
has
today.
flown. The Lisa Hartt I know has flown. It's so wonderful. I mean, look at my face. Look at my face.
Yeah. I'm loving this life. I did the right thing all those years ago. It took me a long journey to get back to my music, I'll be honest with you, because I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know how to shed part of that skin was in the bars and just with the people, and I didn't know how I was going to do it outside of that. I really didn't. It took me a long time to get really confident, a long time. But I
I
did
hear
all
you.
my studying. So I went back to school, I got a degree, and then I'm going for a master's, and I want to go for a PhD, and it's just learning, growing, learning, and flourishing.
We'll have more from Lisa Hartt in the next couple of days. Make sure you comment on our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. All the information on us and Lisa Hartt in the description. Check it out. This is Rock History Canada. Take care.